How to do an engineering design process as a way to show kids how to solve problems? Well, I'm walking you through a real example right now. Hey, this is Moni Singh, an engineer, a creator, a mother, and a lifelong learner. Many people know me as Miss STEM, the founder of the STEM for Kids movement. I created this channel to help you raise your children, your students, for success in this ever transforming world laced with increasing digital influence. You watch these videos because you know that there's something more inside your kids. They got the Elon Musk type of talent hidden inside them. If you haven't done so, hit the subscribe button, and I share regularly. And as a subscriber, you have access to the practical tips, tools, and resources to raise resilient creators. Right? So, this is the goal, and with clear specs and desired outcome. Okay, so now that's that, right? What I want to do is now, given this, the very first step after you have set up the challenge and you've described the challenge to the kids is to ask a question. So if I go back to the my whiteboard for a minute, and before I do that, thank you STEM for Kids for that engineering design challenge. As a quick plug for that, so anybody as you are watching these videos, and if you feel interested in owning a STEM for Kids franchise and actually bringing some of these programs and services to serve the children in your communities, whichever part of the world you are in, then you can become a franchisee. So reach out to STEM for Kids, and I will put the information about how you can do that in the links below. The snapshot of our engineering design process. Right, so we just talked about the goal. So we've set up the goal for this challenge. The first step is ask. Remember, ask, right? So this is the time when the children think about those goals, the constraints, the criteria that they've been given, and they are allowed to ask any further clarifying questions. Okay, so that's the ask step, and I'm going to go into some more details with this step at this point in time. And for that, let me go back into the engineering design challenge that I was sharing, because there's something very interesting about it. So going back here for a moment. Now, during this ask time, we would again open the floor and the children have the mic, right? They can ask questions. Here are some of the questions we used to get, and I want to give you a flavor for it because, again, I said kids are really smart and no doubt about it. All right. So, with this particular challenge, one of the questions that we received from one of the students was, okay, I see that the quantity of the straw is one, the skewer is one, but the tape, you do not tell us, how much tape. So is the tape, can we use unlimited amount of tape? And this is the tape, which is that sticky tape, right? So really provided here to be a sticky material to put things together. But as you think about that question, it was clear that this child was thinking about tape in a little bit different way, to use the tape in a different way, perhaps as a basic material in their design, not just as a sticking product, which is quite interesting. And in this example, in this particular challenge, I think it was not such a big deal. But we actually were asked a similar question for another challenge where we were doing, it was a bridge building challenge using newspapers and or some papers. And again, there were very limited quantity of paper, but there was no constraint on the tape. And this child in particular was thinking about using the tape, like bunch them up and use that as a building stock, like a newspaper or paper to make their bridge, which was quite interesting. And there we had to give them clearly that, okay, no, you are only allowed to use, certain, we gave them a specific length of, okay, this is how much tape you're allowed to use. So back to this challenge, if you do believe that you need to constrain the tape as well and you are asked that question, that's when you can clarify. You can say, yeah, it's unlimited, or If you felt like you missed a constraint which should be there, then you can let everybody know, and you can even whiteboard it so that it's visible for everybody as part of the challenge, that the tape is also constrained, that it can only be, certain length. Um, Same thing with scissors and other things, right? So again, if you're being asked those kinds of questions, making sure that you clarify and with the students. The other thing, again, just to mimic the standard like a RFP process, wherein if a business sends out requests for proposals to, let's say, a bunch of suppliers, let's say 10 suppliers, and one of the suppliers comes back and asks them 10 questions. And so the rule, because we want to keep the process very transparent and fair for all the vendors participating, all the 10 suppliers participating, what would typically happen is that when the business responds back to this one vendor, they would actually give that response, the question and the response, to everybody. So they make it visible for everyone to see, which is important because maybe other suppliers are thinking about a similar question and it helps address it for them as well. Or maybe they didn't think about this question, but because one supplier got some extra information, everybody else gets it too. So what does that mean? Let's say you were going around the room and a group of students, or the child, again, depending on how you set up this engineering design challenge, you could do it as an individual activity or maybe as a team activity. So depending on how you set it, if, let's say, one group of students asked you this question, and you clarified it for them, make sure you come back to the entire class and you tell them the question as well as the answer, so that they all know what know about that question. Okay, so that's that. Now, the couple of other things to think about would be, you could use a worksheet along with that, and in that you can have the children think about the questions first before they ask. So if you have set it up as a group activity, you can actually have the kids talk among their groups first, figure out what are the questions that they have as a team, and then once everybody has a chance, all the groups have had a chance to review it, you can give them 5 minutes, 10 minutes, something, just to kind of contemplate. The younger kids may not have as many questions, so you give them a smaller amount of time. And then, let them ask the questions. The good thing about this process is, of course, you are showing them, making it a real life experience, really, right? Because they're trying to work as engineers, trying to solve a problem, do something, they'll be making something. Along with that, because of this aspect of asking questions, you are incorporating the communications as well as the critical thinking, being able to think ahead, right? What do I need to know? Am I missing any piece of information here? So before I can start even, thinking about a solution. Um, so those things are very important. It allows the kids to experience that. And if you actually decided to do this as a group activity, then of course there's a collaboration piece coming into play as well. And yes, creativity is in here already because of the fact that they're making something, right? So they have to think about very creatively how to use these materials that have been given to make their own design. Now, one word of caution is that many times we adults feel like, how will a child do this? Let us jump in and give them some ideas about, how to use this piece of paper, or, how to put the card together. Refrain yourself from doing that, because this is really where you want the creativity, the creative thinking of the children to shine. And I'll tell you that this simple challenge, and we've done it numerous times, I think countless amounts of time now. And even to this day, there are times when we see a completely unique design that we had not seen before. And you would think, right, when you've done it so many times, that we've probably seen, because there's only so much you can do with all that material out there, that you would probably seen whatever design can come out of it. No, we still see something or the other that comes up and like, oh, didn't think of this design at all. So it's really interesting. It's a very um, engaging process for sure. It is going to wrap the brains, the minds will be in use for all these children, and really helps with getting their mind working. Now, during this ask phase, the children could ask you any other questions about, okay, how will the test work? And if they had more questions, you may even want to do a demo of the testing to make it even more clearer for the students. So you can actually show them the test setup where maybe you have a line drawn on the floor that, okay, this is a starting point. This is where each of the cars. So when you have your car ready to be tested, you bring it and you put it over here. You could have your checklist of things as a judge. What are you looking for? So, of course, you're looking for the car to not fall apart, right? So it's actually put together nicely. You're also looking for it to be freestanding. And then the last test is that you're going to push it, and you can show them exactly how you're going to push it, so they know that the design should account for a certain amount of push, certain amount of force. So you can show them that, and that way they have a very clear understanding of even how the testing will work, so they know how they can be successful in this particular challenge. Hey, now that you have watched this or heard what I just shared, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. And also, depending on which platform you're on, go ahead and give me a 5-star rating or like and comment. And also share this resource with your friends and relatives so that they can also get their hands on all this valuable information that I'm sharing. Now, one more thing, I am giving away my 7 C's blueprint for raising successful children. So if you have not gotten a copy yet, go ahead and do that right away. You can go to www.raisingresilientcreators.com. The link is down in the description. So go ahead, click on it and get that resource. It's a very valuable resource that can help you with your priority of getting your children on the pathway towards success. So with that, again, subscribe to the channel and go ahead and get that resource right away.